So to go back to flow dreaming, it had been a practice that I had been doing mostly with my mom. We would do it together. And, back in the day, again, the original forms of manifesting, there was Louise's do your affirmations, in the mirror, do your self-talk, your mirror talk. There were Jerry Nestor Hicks were just starting to go around in the mid and late 80s, and it was about being in the zone, being in the vortex, being in that state.
Yep.
But a lot of the information that was out there was or creative visualization. Okay, I could name a few.
Yeah. Wayne,
But
I'm sure, chimed in on
oh,
that a
of
lot, right?
course. Power of intention.
Yep.
Um, but a lot of them had to do with keeping your thoughts, keeping yourself in the right place, in the right state of vibration, in the right state of being as often as you could. And I remember, having a 2-year old and a 5-year old and running off to work every day and, leaving the house at 6 in the morning and getting home at 6:30 or 7 at night and just thinking, I have not had my head in the right space, like for anything manifestational, I'm just dealing. I thought, there's got to be something I can do that's like a big mega vitamin pill for my manifesting, something where I can really feel that I'm being heard. And like I said, I had been doing this technique with my mom, practicing and not really understanding it. And I won't go into that whole story, but eventually I realized that what was going on was kind of a combination of three elements that when they happen together, it's like 1 + 1 = 4. When they happen together, something bigger was actually going on. So the three elements of flow dreaming are guided daydreaming. So I sometimes describe flow dreaming as kind of like meditation because everybody knows meditation and it's easy to kind of gulp that down. But in effect, it's more like an energy or in energetic practice. Um, it's more like daydreaming, imagining, just moving into that state, letting go, releasing. You can visualize if you want to. You can see things or say things if you want to. But the next most important pillar is deep, strong, fluid, flowing emotion. And I think that's what takes it into another realm. And in later years, I've started to describe flow dreaming for some people, particularly my therapists and my doctors and people like that. I call it emotional reconditioning. You're going to practice certain emotional states. You're going to practice them over and over. You're going to call them up on demand. You're going to become them. And then you're going to let life start reorienting, readjusting itself to what you're creating, what you're putting out. So the third pillar is flow itself. And back again in the day, flow was obviously it was pioneered by Dr. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. And he's sometimes called the father of positive psychology.
Hmm.
He created flow, or not created, discovered it in terms of the scientist that has the breakthrough, the person who's working, studying so hard, and then has the aha, that zone of complete heightened attention, heightened awareness. Certain characteristics, you forget how much time is passing. You forget that you haven't gotten up in 4 hours. You've been so engrossed. It's almost like a super alignment. However, my thought was, gosh, what if I get into that state, but instead of working on a thing around me, a physical thing, what if I try to get into that state in a kind of connected space,
Mm-hmm.
right? A space with my higher self, a space with life. What if I do that? So I thought, well, how do I get there? And that's where the daydreaming, I'm like, well, just going to imagine myself going in there because that's how I was doing it anyway.
Yeah.
So I get into this flow state and I'm daydreaming. And then I'm like, what do I do here? like now what? And that's where the emotion ended up coming in. So you enter the state of incredibly powerful alignment, or I call it flow state.
Mm-hmm.
And then you begin having a discussion, right? You have a communication. You begin shifting and changing yourself. You start showing life and your future who you are from this emotional standpoint. And I like to say it is a manifestational practice. It's also healing. It does so many other things because most of us are so used to waiting for life to give us permission to feel certain ways. If this happens, then I can feel like that. If I get my mortgage paid, then I'll feel safe.
Yeah.
If that person falls in love with me, then I can feel love. And we wait so much. I look at the world around us, and sometimes I just see all these power leaks, is what I call them.
Yeah.
All these things we're waiting on to get the feelings that we want. This has to happen before I can have. And I say, what if we reverse that equation completely? What if I happen and then the world is challenged to line up the things that will match it instead of
Yeah.
me trying to match the world? So those
Right.
are some fundamental basics of flow dreaming, essentially,
Yeah.
and why I do it, how I do it.